It's day 21. It's day fucking 21. Me and Rebecca watched church this morning. We watched Elevation, and Robert Madu was preaching. When we saw him preaching, Rebecca got excited. I got excited too, low key, because he's actually one of our favorite ones to actually see preach. He's a really good preacher. But he drove home this word this morning that about God being able to use whoever, whenever, whatever, right? There was a particular part in the sermon that hit me the absolute most, and it was the part when he was talking about um, going. He said, sometimes God don't want you to do all of this, you know, um, waiting, and you're asking all these questions and all this stuff or whatever. And it hit me, and it hit me so hard. But the reason why it hit me was because I was recently just Bible studying, and which I do each morning, but this one very particularly was on Nehemiah, which was kind of our word for the year. It's the one that I did my fast on and everything like that. So I'm Bible studying Nehemiah again, and just like, you know, anyway, so Robert was talking, and I go back over Nehemiah because I'm like looking for answers. You know what I mean? I'm the person that's always looking for answers, and I cannot make this up. I want to say it was chapter 1, verses 10 and 11, which are like the last two verses of that book or that chapter. And it was like saying like he went after praying like, God, I need to do something about this. He said he prayed, and then he was praying, and then he fasted. And then after he did that, he didn't wait for God's word. He wasn't waiting for a yes. He didn't ask God, could you tell me this? Could you prove this? Could you do all of these different things? And like, he went. And so I remember writing down that you have to go. Like, God's saying go. And like, sometimes the answer that you're looking for is the answer to the prayer, right? And so sometimes you don't know, but you have to understand. And I've talked to Rebecca about this. Sometimes our faith is like all God's looking for. You know what I mean? And it's like, just go, because you don't have all the answers. And sometimes it's true. And I think that as Christians or whatever it is, a lot of times we want to think that it's not about like, almost like it's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay to wait, or like, you know what I mean? Like, you should know everything and that's not like, we don't know everything as a Christian. Anyways, that's what happened. And so it really hit me when he said it, because 2 mornings or the morning before, I was praying, but before we got to church, or before we watched church this morning, I was actually went on a bike ride, and this bike ride ended up being like an hour and a half bike ride. Did about 7 miles, and I just remember stopping at the trail and just kind of praying, like, you know what I mean? Just really praying over a lot of the things that he said in this sermon. And it's not like answers were like, do this, do that, do this. It's just a reminder, like, dude, you got God on your side. You know what I mean? It's a reminder that nothing's going to happen sitting in the same spot. Anyways, I'm boring y'all, but I say all of this because I think after I sit back and I look, I think I realize, like, I can do one of two things. I can go back into the same cycle that I've been in, which is what I talked about last night, or I can just go, you know? And so the reality is that we had a meeting at work today at the morning place, and obviously I didn't go, but I'm thinking that I think I'm good. You know, I think it's time for me to quit. So I think I'll go back, get my last check on the 4th of July. If we're open, if we're not, then it'll be on the 5th, which is the next time I actually work, because we'll be in at the lake this weekend. And I think I'm gonna quit, you know, and you know, if I got to pick up one extra day at the other restaurant, but this also means that I have to trust God and go forward into actually like creating income, just getting out there, like I said, door knocking, things like that. Things that, if I'm being honest on camera, I think that we can pretend like we know, we can pretend like we got it, like we can pretend like, oh yeah, I'm good, I'm solid, I know exactly what I'm doing, but it's like, maybe not, bro. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not. Maybe it's genuinely like a little frustrating. It's genuinely a little hard. You know what I'm saying? And so there's always that little bit of fear, but I think like Robert Madu went over, it was in Judges, the JL. It was the story of JL, and there's so much more. You know what I mean? There's so much more, and it's like it's okay, like, but to just it was over JL and to just jump out. You know what I mean? She jumped out and like understanding like there's fear. And it's like we all have fear, and there's nothing wrong with the fact that we all have fear, but it's like identify the fact that we got fear. And he said that God will still bless you going in spite that fear, which we call courage. But sometimes, man, it's just like you don't, you know what I mean? Listen, I'm gonna be the first person to like speak. Like I always wanted to be known as a man of faith, but sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's this scarier things, you know what I mean? But I think that you know what this looks like, you know what that feels like, you know how this seems, and like one thing we all know is like I've just shown on camera that I've literally spent this month. I still would have spent $10,000 even if I didn't, you know, even if we don't hit this goal. Which and the reason why I keep saying that is because it's probably not gonna happen. But I still spent $10,000 this month because of rent, because of bills. You know what I mean? And still doing that, which still we're still very very close to our number. But the reality is that we may not hit it. But the reason why I still have to pull back and still be smart about the finances is because I almost went a full month when working these two jobs that didn't even essentially cover the bills. And so essentially that's where I'm at right now. It ain't been a good day for me, man. I've been super quiet, ain't really been focused. I'm on my way to the gym, which I haven't done in like almost a year on a Sunday. But I'm not working out. I'm just gonna go and steam, sauna, kind of reset, do a little stretching, get my mind right, and get really, really ready to start like moving forward. You know what I mean? Anyways, though, man, this is day 21, and like I said, it's Sunday. Let's just keep going. So I'm getting so much closer to this app. I just gotta let y'all know. On day 21, like my focus on this, my goal is to complete this and have this up and running on my phone by July 1st. So whenever we come back to the lake, like my plan is to do like 5 or 6 hours before everybody even wakes up at the lake, so I can get this going. But I am using Cursor to create this, and like it's pretty fire. You know, I'm pretty proud of it. So, like I said, for the most part, the bones of it is pretty good. I mean, yeah, I don't even know, but I'm super excited. I just wanted to stop and say that this is all about tracking our finances, and I just hope that this makes it more exciting and allows me to get away from like the spreadsheets and the notebook where it's like I'm still tracking it like every single day here, and the logs is going to give me a spreadsheet style, and then the history is going to tell me about all of my transactions and things like this. This also allows me, it's prompting me to input my transactions, because right now I actually don't track my transactions. Like if I bought a bag of chips, I don't track it. If I go and bought coffee, I don't track that. What I do at the end of the day is I track the total amount that I've spent that day. So this is going to allow me to focus more on what I'm buying and not just how much or whatever. So I'm hoping it works. Yeah. One thing I don't want to do is I do not want to create this in a way where it's connected to my bank account, because to me the only way to actually change, the only way this shit actually works is you have to do it. Like finances, I believe, are so like it's such a mental thing. And so to have something automated, like no shade to like um what is it, Dave Ramsey's whatever, but it like connects to your bank account. And like I remember having a conversation with somebody. I was like, oh yeah, like I write down my finances and I do it on a spreadsheet. And they was like, yeah. I was like, well, I'm using this. It was like, because it does it for me. Like, why would I want to do that? And I'm like, this whole conversation, we had a long conversation, is exactly why you need not to be automated. It's because that you don't even understand what just came out. He was like, I don't pay attention to it. It does it for me. But that's not learning shit. Anyways, I'll do a video on that. I just wanted to show y'all this. Y'all have a good day.